Good evening, my crime family. And we have a very special show and a very special guest tonight. And it should be very informative. And we did run part one and part two of this with his radio interview. But he's going to do it live tonight. And he's you'll be able to ask some questions maybe and stuff. But I want to say hi to my crime family first here before I bring them up. So, hello, Ro, good to see you. Karen, good to see you. Moonflower Laza, my girl, good to see you. Lila, good to see you. Debbie Gazzardo, always good to see you. Kat K, my girl. Sugar Moon Love, good to see you. Sweet and Salty, good to see you. Kat K, good to see you. Kathleen, my girl, good to see you. True Killer Crime, good to see you. And let's see. All right, yeah, you guys are chatting up a storm here too. Ro, good to see you. All right, so, and Moonflower Laza, good to see you, my girl. You were the first one here. Looks like, anyway. Crime Spy, good to see you. All right, so we're going to be talking about Adam Walsh, and this gentleman here was a witness to Mr. Jeffrey Dahmer. I don't even want to call him Mr., but Jeffrey Dahmer being at the same place and at that toy store the day he went missing. So I want to introduce Mr. Willis Morgan. Hey, Willis, how you doing? You're on stage. Hi, Willis. Can you hear me okay? Okay. What was that like 77 years? No, not you're 77. Let's see, how many years ago was that? 81, 91, that's like 50 years or something, right? But what was it like? And when you seen him, that you didn't know who he was at first, right? You didn't find out until later when he got arrested, like 10 years later, right? I think there's a delay. If you have YouTube up, you can X out YouTube now, because you can X out any YouTube or any other pages that you got up. That'll help. What was it like?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah. Yep.
Well,
we're live
now, for sure.
Yep. Right. And you didn't know who he was until like 10 years later, right? Explain what happened. Explain how, tell your story. Tell your story. That's what we need to hear.
Right. Okay. Back in 1981, I was working for a newspaper, the Miami Herald. We were working days a week, hour shifts, 40 hours a week. Mall and have the deli in the mall called the German Deli, and I went there to have lunch. But on my way to the German Deli, I decided to stop off in Radio Shack, and it was while I was in that Radio Shack when I had this bizarre encounter with someone. He approached me. He was trying to initiate a conversation. And things like, a nice day, isn't it? He had this dead dog trying to very
cutting out
and bizarre. So I be speaking that conversation. So I just ignored him.
Okay, you're kind of freezing up. There's you're cutting out a lot. Yeah. Okay, we're having some problems. Yeah, Sugar Moon Love. Yeah, there's some problems here. I think you have a connection problem, maybe, or something. You're using your phone? There's a great big delay, and we're not hearing you now. This might be tough. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. Well, it's because you are cutting out, and it's hard to hear you. So I think what I'm going to do is we haven't heard that third part of that radio interview from the Twin Cities. And that, by the way, I'm from Minnesota, so I know that. Let me bring that up. Let's bring that up. If you have a laptop, it would probably be better to come in on a laptop. If you can hear me, Willis, it might be best to leave the studio here and then grab your laptop if you got a laptop, because it's not. There's like this big delay, and you're cutting out like really bad. But I'm going to run. I have your page up here. I just got to find that last interview here. Yeah, let's see. 10, 1, 2. Is this it? Okay, I'm going to have to change something here. Sorry, folks, we'll be right with you here. I'm going to make a change, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen because we can't hear you, Willis. For some reason, you're not coming through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show people the other part to that. This says part 1. But I think we actually watched. There we go.
Good evening. Welcome back. This is the best in paranormal talk radio on a True Crime Tuesday. You're listening to Darkness Radio. I'm your host, Dave Schrader, along with me, Tim Dennis. Tim, this is a show that I have had an interest in covering and talking about since we began True Crime Tuesday 3 years ago. And because 1980s, I grew up in that period, and I remember this story so well. And I mentioned it on last night's show. On a long drive home to Illinois once, I rented the audiobook, John Walsh's book about his son, Adam, and his son going missing. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you, it was one of the most compelling, terrifying, and heart-wrenching experiences you'll ever go through listening to a book. I mean, he's a fantastic speaker, and how he kept it together in parts of this book is beyond me. I mean, the man is unbelievable.
Yeah. Yep.
His son was kidnapped and murdered and beheaded. Terrifying. But if that isn't enough, as he's facing this down and talking with his wife, the police have to come and then tell him, well, we have to look at your best friend. And he's like, what are you talking about? Well, we might have a motive here. He's been having an affair with your wife. So now you've lost your son, your marriage, your best friend, all in one gut punch. And this man had some kind of fortitude because he stayed with his wife, remained friends with a friend, worked through this situation. Mm-hmm. Daniel J. Travanti was in the movie, the two TV movies, Jo Beth Williams, I think, played his wife.
Yeah, I believe so.
In the movie.
Yep.
And this story just absolutely terrified me, mystified me, and kept me enthralled the entire time. And the aftermath is unbelievable. As I said last night on the show, being a father of 7, if I lost one of my children to any reason, I don't know how I could soldier on. I just don't know how I could do it, in all honesty. This guy soldiered on and became a warrior for crime. And he went after criminals with a vengeance, and started with America's Most Wanted, where they've caught thousands. And maybe you can look during the break. I'm interested to find out if there's a total tally of how many criminals they were actually able to help apprehend. I'm guessing in the thousands over the 15 years or plus that they were on. An amazing story, a fascinating story, but we may not have heard it all. Now, there's been different names that have popped up through history on who it could have been, and well, there's even a possibility that they think they may have closed the case. But our guest and another witness that are on the phone with us this evening believe they have a different take and a different idea of what happened that night. For those of you that are not familiar with the abduction of 6-year-old Adam Walsh, we have an original actuality of the story kind of catching you up. So, Tim, if you've got that available.
In 1981, Adam Walsh disappeared from a Hollywood, Florida mall and later was found murdered. No one has ever been arrested or tried for this horrific crime. Here's a look back at the case.
He's our only child, beautiful little boy, and we just want him back more than anything. We have hope.
July 27, 1981. John Walsh's son Adam went to the store with his mother and tragically vanished.
Video games were brand new. There was one in the toy department of that store. He asked if he could stay there and watch 2 older sets of boys watching the video game. She went 2 aisles away. She came back 3 minutes later, 2 aisles away, and he was gone.
The older boys got in a fight, and all the kids, including little 6-year-old Adam, were sent outside. 2 weeks after Adam vanished, police made a grisly discovery, finding his severed head 120 miles away. His body has never been found.
That's the terrifying truth of this case. When we return, we're going to talk to Willis Morgan. He's the author of a book, Frustrated Witness, the true story of the Adam Walsh case and the police misconduct. We'll do that next on True Crime Tuesday. Good evening. Welcome back to the show. This is True Crime Tuesday on Darkness Radio. For the next 2 hours, our guest, Willis Morgan, Frustrated Witness, the true story of the Adam Walsh case and police misconduct. Willis, thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
This case, as I mentioned in the opening, has certainly caught the attention of the world. And boy, what an aftermath with pulling the pin on his father and becoming such an advocate for victims and helping crime as it has. When you were an eyewitness to this case, walk me through that day, if you don't mind. We heard him explain it in that news clip. Talk to me about your experience. Was it at a Sears? Is that where you were?
Yes, it was in Sears. But I would just like to say something about your opening there when you said that this was a different take on the case. This is not a different take or another take. This is Frustrated Witness. The book I wrote is the true facts of the case. And
okay,
not a take from me. It's from many witnesses. Me, who you also have on, is just one of those other witnesses.
Great.
And I am also one of the witnesses.
And I understand that, but I didn't want to give away what police have believed. They closed this case, and they believe that they know who did this. You have a different take on that story because you were there and you saw what happened, and that's what I was referring to, giving you the perception or the perspective of having been on site and having been there as a part of this. So that's why I think it's fascinating, especially when it comes to police misconduct and how this case was screwed up. And they mentioned even in the news story that the police.
Okay, we're going to try this again. Let's see. Can you talk, Willis? Are you there? Okay, yeah, we can't hear you. All right, yeah, that's too bad. But here's the story, people, is that he was there, and there was at least 7 other witnesses that witnessed, and of course they didn't know until 10 years later when they showed Dahmer being arrested. They're all going, that's the guy. That's the guy that was there that day. And that it wasn't just Willis, it was Willis and 7 or more other witnesses. What are the coincidences? And the thing is, Dahmer was working there in Florida, 20 minutes from where Adam was taken. So we're going to go on with this radio interview here. This is one that we have not heard. We've heard 2 others. This is one we have not heard. And for those of you that didn't hear those other ones, this is really, to me, shocking news, because to me, when you have 8 or more people all saying the same thing, that they seen Jeffrey Dahmer go into that toy store at that Sears department in Florida right before Adam went missing, to me. And then you have what Adam was I hate to say this, but you know what happened and what they found. Okay, you know what they found. There's only certain people that do that. There's only certain people that do that. Yeah, I mean, there is, K's out there, killers out there, okay? But there's only so many that will decapitate. There's only so many people out there that do that. That is a sick in the head individual. And there's not many of those. I mean, and the coincidence of 8 people seeing him at that place tells me that Mr. Dahmer is the one that took Adam. That is my opinion. I wish they could hear you, Willis, but they can't hear you, buddy. And that's why I'm doing this the way I'm doing it, is because they can't, for some reason we can't hear you. And your mic is not muted. I can see it. So I'm going to go on with this interview here that you did with Dave, I think it is, because this does tell a story. I will show your page where he's got a book out called Frustrated Witness, and I'm going to order the book. I have not read it yet, but from what I heard, it is really, really mind-boggling. So let's get back to this, and we'll be back in it shortly here.
Mishandled things during this case. So you're at Sears on this day in July of 1981. And what are you doing there that day? Is it just, are you roaming there? Were you there with a purpose? And kind of walk us through your day.
Right. Okay. Back in 1981, I was working for a newspaper, the largest newspaper in Florida, which is the Miami Herald. And we worked a 4-day work week, 10-hour days, 40 hours. And I was off on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So Monday was my middle day off.
Right.
And I had nothing scheduled that day. So I got up in the morning and I decided that I was going to go to Walden's bookstore and then go down to the German deli and have lunch there. So that's the reason I went to the Hollywood Mall, because back then that mall was the premier mall in our area. There was really only 2 malls in Southern Broward, and that was the Hollywood Fashion Center and the Hollywood Mall. And I went to Walden's. I parked at the east entrance. That's where the food court was. And I went to Walden's bookstore. I browsed around for about 20 minutes, and then I headed down to the German deli. But since Radio Shack was on the same side of the hall that I was on, I decided to go to Radio Shack and browse around in there first before I went to the deli. And while I was in Radio Shack, I had a bizarre encounter with someone in Radio Shack.
And this bizarre encounter, what took place at that time?
Right. Well, I walked into Radio Shack, and at the
Okay, Willis, if you look off to the right there, Can you hear me okay, Willis? If you can hear me, off to the right on the top, up by, or just up towards the top on the right, it'll say comments. If you click on that, you'll be able to see all the comments, and you will be able to comment yourself on that if you would like to. Not sure if he's here. Yeah, so he's got some connection problems, people. All right, we're going to get back to the story here. If you can hear me, Willis, there is comments off to the right. Click on that little comment thing, and you will be able to comment.
The front of Radio Shack, like 15 feet in, they had a table, and it said red tag sale, and they had a bunch of items on the table, and had tags on them, red tags with prices, discounted prices on everything. So I was looking through this stuff, and this guy was standing at the entrance, and I wasn't paying attention, but in my peripheral vision, I noticed him standing there, and he came into the north entrance of the mall there, and just stopped at Radio Shack. And he was just standing there. So then I looked up at him, and sure enough, he was standing there staring at me. And then when I made eye contact with him, he put a big smile on his face, and he said, "Hi there, nice day, isn't it?" And I just didn't want to start a conversation, so I didn't even reply. And thinking he would just go away too, because I knew once you say something that would, just
right, you'd be engaging him, and right.
But I didn't reply, and thinking he would go away, but he didn't go away. He came into the Radio Shack and came right up to me, arm's length, and again with this smile on his face, he tried to engage me in conversation. And it became so bizarre and so intense that when he finally stomped out of Radio Shack, I don't want to waste the whole show just talking about my encounter, but it was really bizarre. And he stomped out, and I went to the Radio Shack entrance to look down the hallway, thinking that this guy is going to go up to someone else, and he's going to have the same encounter, thinking that there would be because I was thinking we were almost going to end up getting into a shoving match or a fight. That's how bizarre and intense this encounter was.
Right.
And I was thinking that would be repeated with someone else. And I was thinking they may need a witness, even help. So I was watching them. And then I passed the German deli. I never even had my lunch there. I saw him turn into Sears, and I went to the entrance there to watch what he was doing. I saw him walk to the west end of Sears, and he turned to the right and walked towards the toy department. When I walked down that way, I saw him actually turn into the toy department and disappear in the toy department. I stood there for a minute, wondering what he was doing there, but then thinking that he was probably just playing the video games, and he would turn around and come back my way, and not wanting another encounter with this guy, I just turned around and left and went home.
Mm.
And it was that very same evening that I heard about this abduction. I was in the kitchen making a sandwich, and I heard on TV, I had the local news station on, I hear Hollywood Mall, and then I hear Sears, and then I hear an abduction of a small child, and then just the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I'm saying, my first impression was that guy did it. He actually did it, because I knew this guy was up to no good. He was a very, very dangerous person, because he was smiling when he was trying to talk to me, but he had this dead dull look in his eyes. Everything about him was very dangerous. And I don't follow people. I've never in my life followed anyone. This is the only time.
Okay, can you hear us, Willis? Can you hear me okay? Well, I think you're trying to speak. Can you say something? Yeah, we're having some technical difficulties on his end, but yeah, we might, if he has a friend or something that could help him set this up, we can do this again. But we're going to listen to this, the rest of this here. because I really, truly believe I know his story and I've heard his story. And the thing is, it isn't just him saying this. There's 7 other people that when Dahmer got arrested in 91, they Willis actually stood up and said, "That's the man I seen when Adam Walsh disappeared." And 7 other people said the same exact thing. And Dahmer, they found out later, was working 20 minutes away from where Adam was taken. 20 minutes away. And they all seen him in that mall going towards that toy. And he was in that toy store when he ended up missing. To me, that is way too many coincidences. And then when you talk about decapitation, I'm telling you right now that Dahmer is the one that did this. Yes, he did do it to a young one other young one, I do believe. See, this, you got to remember, this is when Dahmer was like 21 years old. This is when he was just starting out and doing his thing. Adam would have been an easy target. And that's what you got to remember. This is when, and he had a rounder face. I showed everybody that before. And in previous episodes, I have showed that Jeffrey Dahmer, when he was young, he had a rounder face. And when they constructed the picture of what the guy looked like, it does look like Jeffrey Dahmer with that rounder face when he was 21 years old. I am totally sold on the fact that Jeffrey Dahmer took Adam Walsh. 100%.
In my entire 70 years, before Adam or after Adam, that I've ever followed anybody. And that's how bizarre that was.
All right, well, let's...
I went to the police department. I told them what happened, but they completely dismissed everything I had to say because I didn't have a receipt to prove I was there, and I didn't get a tag number. All they wanted was a tag number of the vehicle.
So they didn't care that you saw what the suspect looked like.
Exactly.
They didn't care that you had, specific details about this person and interaction with him.
Right. They didn't care about any of that. All they wanted was a tag number and proof that I was there.
Okay.
Why they needed this proof, I have no idea.
Well, I think
I'm going there to tell them what happened, and all they wanted was proof.
Unfortunately, Willis, as I'm sure you've learned.
And yes, Karen, exactly right. He had access to blue vans at his work. And there was a blue van parked out in the front where they weren't supposed to be parked. It was like he made it look like it was like a delivery van or something. And he was only in there for a short time. He went in to do one thing, I think, and that was to get somebody. And Adam just happened to be that somebody. And yes, a blue van was a big part. Everybody, all the witnesses said about the blue van. And guess what? Jeffrey Dahmer was working at a place where their vans were all blue. So how many coincidences do we need? We have a guy that as I hate Dahmer is a tough one to talk about because I don't want to say things that YouTube's going to frown upon, but so it's hard to, there's only so many people, like I said, that would do what he did. And then he was there. He was 20 minutes away. People, there's over 7 witnesses saying they seen him. He had a blue van for work. I mean, how many coincidences does it take? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I can't believe that all of those are just coincidences. There's just no way. Right, Moonflower, exactly. Not especially that many of them.
And through history on this, a lot of people make a lot of claims when it comes to crimes like this to kind of inject themselves into the story.
Oh, yes. And it's happened in this case, obviously,
Right,
without
right.
a clue, the person they pinned it on.
But I mean, you know, there are quote unquote eyewitnesses that will have seen something and sometimes send cops down the wrong pathway. So I understand to a degree why they want proof that you were there. That you know what's even more interesting to me though, and is that if a man shows up, starts talking about this, and then doesn't, you know, shouldn't that have raised a red flag? They should have maybe at least investigated you a little bit, Willis.
Right. Of
Right?
course. They could have done that. I would have welcomed that, you know. But, I mean, what they did was they just totally dismissed me. They took my name and phone number and said, we'll call you if we need you. They never called me. And I've never went back to them because composites started showing up in the newspapers. And those composites were the spitting image of the person I had that encounter with. So my thinking at the time was, well, at least they have their composites. There's nothing more I can do. So I never tried to recontact them. I was thinking that was they had the composite.
With that said, let's bring in our other eyewitness at the time, and maybe you can introduce Mia and let us know how you came to find her and get to know her.
Well, I found Mia because her brother's name was in the case files, Joel. And I was looking for Joel. I spent, a lot of time looking for Joel because Joel, according to the case files, may have been one of the kids in the toy department.
That's another thing. O'Toole, it doesn't fit his MO whatsoever. And O'Toole and his partner were actually trying to they admitted the crimes they didn't do. They were trying to outdo each other with their stories. I mean, it just got totally crazy. But yet, the police at the end of the investigation said they believed that it was O'Toole. No way in hell. It didn't even fit his MO. Not one bit. There's only one person out there that the MO that it fits perfectly. And here he has a blue van. They seen a blue van. They seen Dahmer. He did work 20 minutes away. Remember, Dahmer's from Wisconsin. So this you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's too much. It's too much. And if you look at O'Toole, there is nothing that even shows that he did it. There's not even any proof that he did it, except for he did a confession, which he later retracted. But he was confessing to stuff all across the United States that he didn't do. He was crazy in the head, okay? And I explained this before. There's crazy in the head, but then there's sick in the head. Crazy in the head is O'Toole and many of the serial Ks. You know what I'm saying? Many of the serials are crazy in the head. But there's only a certain few that are sick in the head. And to do something like that to a child, to a 6-year-old child, that person is sick in the head. And you have a man that was sick in the head that worked 20 minutes from there, had a blue van, and was seen by the Sears store going into the toy store right before Adam went missing. Unbelievable.
And there wasn't much more information than that. But I tried to contact him. I found his address in Florida City, which is about 70 miles south of me and about 50 miles south of Miami. And I could get no response. So I drove to that house. I got no response. Nobody was ever there. So I left notes on the door and I mailed letters. I've done everything to get a hold of him, but I never could get a hold of him, and I gave up. And until a book came out in 2011, which was called Bringing Adam Home. That's the book that was used to close the case, basically. Okay. And that was written by one of the detectives that was involved in the case since its inception.
All right.
And it mentioned Mia's name in there. And I didn't know at the time. All I saw that Joel had a sister named Mia, and I spent a lot of time tracking Mia down, and I finally found her, and that's how I met Mia.
All
And
right.
what she had to say was in complete contrast to what was in the book, because the detective that wrote that book, his name is Detective Joe Matthews, he leaves readers to assume that he talked to Mia. But when I contacted Mia, she says nobody's ever talked to her.
Fascinating.
And, yeah, and not only Mia, but other witnesses too that have passed away. He makes statements that Joel said to him, and that Mia said Joel did not say, he would not have said. And Matthews consistently in his book uses people that passed away to say they made statements that they didn't make. For instance, Barry Grimilli. That's how he's the one that started and propagated that deathbed confession of Otis Toole. And he used witnesses like Barry Grimilli, who was the head person in charge of the infirmary where Otis Toole passed away at Lake Butler prison.
All right. Well,
and
let's
says that he. Excuse me.
Okay, before we get too deep into that, let's talk to Mia and hear her encounter, because I know she can't be here with us for the whole show. Mia Taylor, our guest as well. Mia, thank you for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm happy to speak up for Adam.
All right, walk me through this, Mia, your involvement in this case and what you saw. Were you also at the Hollywood Mall that day in Sears?
Yes, it was myself and my brother and my mother were all at the mall that day. And
now listen to this, because this is another witness. This is another witness. So listen to what she has to say. And I don't know why John does not believe this stuff. I cannot. I've looked at this and I've researched this, and I don't understand why he is holding on to this O'Toole guy that I know in my heart he did not do that. It was Jeffrey Dahmer. And I know that. I know it. I just know it. You know what I mean?
my mom.
How old were you?
Talk to one of her friends.
Mia?
I was 10 years old.
Okay, 10 years old,
in
sure.
1981.
All right.
Actually, I had just turned 10 a few months before. And my brother Joel was 9, but he was a lot bigger than me and looked older than me. But my mom's like, okay, y'all guys can hang out here, because we were over in the toy department. And she went to talk to her friends that works in a store just outside of Sears. And so we were sitting there hanging out, and my brother and this kid who I believe was Adam was, standing there talking and everything. And there was some older kids who were, arguing and stuff. And they were basically like, where's your mom? And so I'm like, my mom's right over there. And, my brother and I started walking away. And that's when we saw Jeffrey Dahmer, this man who basically, I didn't know it at the time until back when Willis got a hold of me. He handed me a bunch of pictures. He says, hey, look at these pictures and tell me if you identify any of these people that you saw. And I identified a particular picture. Anyway, back up a little bit. What got me is the man who we'd seen over by the toy department was seen also the day before, because we were in the mall on Sunday and Monday, because because, like I said, my mom's got a friend who worked there. And on Sunday, this same guy who I saw talking to this little kid when we were all leaving the toy department, he had come up to my brother and was asking my brother about. He had like a little hole in the. It was the type of game. It was one that the ball just rolled around. It wasn't like a video game or anything like that. And
sure, it was one of those little handheld games where you had like a maze with a little silver ball in it, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Sure.
But my brother and I, we were walking down the hallway, going back to where my mom was, and this guy stepped out in front of us. I mean, really weird closely, and I could smell alcohol in his breath. And he just looked not right. But he stops and he's looking at my brother only. I mean, there's two of us standing there, but he's concentrating on my brother. And he goes, do you know anything about this game? Can you help me play it or something like that? And I'm like, I've always been like real spunky, I guess.
Right.
But, and my brother is learning disabled, you know, so I was always protective of him. It's my little brother. But, I kind of was, no, he doesn't know anything about it. There's Mom, let's go. And I grabbed my brother's arm and walked off. But the way that this guy was just in my brother's face. Well, it was the very next day, which was Monday. We were there again, middle of summer. And, you know, it was middle of the day. We were supposed to be getting with my mom to go and get lunch and everything. So anyway, we were leaving the store, and this same guy had this little boy. And my brother was like, hey, can I stand here with my little friend? And he goes, and my mom says, no, his dad's with him. And so we went ahead and left. And I saw this man holding the little boy by the tips of his fingers. And he's telling him, you know, you're not my daddy, like something like to that effect. And we left. So we didn't hear about the case because we lived way further south. It was a few days before we heard about the case. But no one ever contacted any of us. Somehow Joe Matthews, as far as I know, they might have talked to my mom. I really don't know. But Joe Matthews, in, I guess, several years ago, had written this book saying that he had talked to my brother and he talked to me and that we had identified a specific person and my brother said certain things or that I said certain things. And I've never talked to Joe Matthews in my life. So that's all I know about all of it.
Interesting. And when you looked at these pictures that Willis gave you, did he show you a picture of Jeffrey Dahmer from 1981?
He showed me a picture of Jeffrey Dahmer from 1981, and it's not the same picture that the world saw on the news when he was arrested in Wisconsin. He looked nothing like himself. I personally had no idea it was Jeffrey Dahmer until Willis said, because he'd sent me an array of pictures. And I'm like, this is the guy I saw right there. He had the, you know, kind of scruffle on his face, longer hair. And I had said, this is the guy. And he goes, do you know who that is? I said, no, but that's the guy I saw that day. That's who I saw. And as a matter of fact, that Otis Toole, his picture was in there. And I'm going, that's definitely not who I saw. Because I had made a statement to my brother he and I were sitting there watching American Most Wanted one night, and they had Adam's case on. And they had pictures of this Otis Toole on there, and I'm going, that cannot be that guy, because if that is him, the years have been awful on him, because he had way more hair, and I made a statement to that effect. And that statement was somehow given to Joe Matthews, because that statement ended up in his book, but it was twisted around as if I was identifying Otis Toole. And that was not the conversation I had with my brother. You understand?
Right. No, I understand completely. Mia, for just a few more seconds, you saw Adam Walsh with Jeffrey Dahmer. You saw them leaving the Sears, correct?
Yes, I did.
So you were an eyewitness directly to that. Right, the person that we believe to be Jeffrey Dahmer from the pictures. The
person I was shown the picture of in that array of pictures, and the one, that's who I saw that day. And I have a memory that just doesn't stop. So it's like, okay, I had no idea it was Jeffrey Dahmer until because he'd emailed me these pictures, and then I'd email back, I think it's this one, and then he emailed me back. We were not even really talking on the phone too much, other than when he called, introduced himself. He said, "Are you willing to look at some pictures?" And that's how I came to know Willis.
Have you ever
You know,
considered, Mia, in order to draw this story back to the attention and help blow this back up, have you ever considered suing the author, that former police officer that was part of the case, for not having spoken to you, not having a waiver to use the quotes you supposedly gave him? Because usually in those kind of situations, you have to sign like a release that you're giving this interview, you're doing these things for the book. And if you didn't do that, it might draw some attention, and then at least get the attention back on the fact that if these facts are incorrect, maybe this case is worth opening again and taking a look at Jeffrey Dahmer as a very viable suspect in this crime.
I've never thought about suing anybody for it. I just figured, eventually the truth would come out. And
That
like
may
I said,
that may be something you want to talk to Willis about off air. Again, I don't know exactly where it stands, but I know when, being an author of a book myself, I had to get releases from people that I quoted in the book, and to use their photos or art or anything that, their theories, their ideas. I had to get signed release so that,
I
I
did
wasn't
not even
misrepresenting
know.
them. Right.
I did not even know that I was mentioned in the book until Willis told me. And I ended up getting a copy, downloaded on my Kindle and started reading it. And he spelled our last names wrong.
Hmm.
And so maybe he was going off some fiction or I don't know.
Interesting.
But
Well, yeah, if there's never been
I
an
never
interview.
knew until Willis told me. And that was just
Sure.
in 2013 is when I found out about it.
Fascinating. Mia, thank you for coming on and sharing your insights with us. Is there anything else you wanted to share before we let you go? I know you're not here for the whole interview, but was there anything else about this case you wanted to mention?
I'm with Willis. I'm frustrated at this point because the truth should be told and there should be justice for Adam. Basically, every suspect they've had is dead, but the truth should be known. And I, feel like this Detective Matthews, he should be outed for the liar he is because he has lied in this situation. And I personally don't appreciate it.
Well, then that is something.
I'm offended for Adam.
Right.
He
And
needs justice.
that might be, again, I would talk to an attorney about that and see, because it may help rouse the attention of everyone involved. And have you ever personally tried to reach out, Mia, to John Walsh about this story and about your non-involvement in this book?
No, I've actually really never talked to anybody except Willis.
Okay.
And now you.
Well, thank you so much for coming on this evening and sharing your insights with us and your personal account. And we appreciate the time. And again, please keep us in the loop if you end up doing something and looking into the legal aspect of this. Again, like I said, not necessarily looking to milk anybody out of money, but by regaining public attention to the fact that if he was misquoting eyewitnesses, that leads us down a different pathway altogether and should be reviewed, I think. So Mia, good luck with that, and I hope that that might get some doors open again.
Yeah, something I might just look into because at this point, like I said, somebody's got to make sure that the truth comes out.
Right. All right.
Because this guy should not be allowed to walk around lying.
We'll let you get flying. Thank you for being a part of the show, Mia. And when we return, we'll talk more with our guest, Willis Morgan, the frustrated witness, the true story of the Adam Walsh case and police misconduct, here on True Crime Tuesday. Welcome back to the show. Willis Morgan, our guest this evening, frustrated witness, the true story of the Adam Walsh case and police misconduct. Willis, we just had a chance to talk with Mia, and she had quite a bit to share with that eyewitness account. I know there was some parts you wanted to add to that, so I'll let you jump in at this point.
Right. I just wanted to expand on a couple of things that she left out. And one is that Mia is not only a spokesperson for Adam, but also for her brother Joel, because he passed away in 2006. So he's not here to defend himself. And some of the claims that Matthew said, statements that Matthew said Joel made, that Mia definitely says he would not have made. And also, I would like to say that on that first day, Sunday, as Mia said, she was there 2 days in a row. Sunday, July 26, 1981, and Monday, July 27, 1981, on the same day Adam was abducted. On Sunday, Mia's mother showed up, as she said, and she ran to her mother when she felt like Dahmer was about ready to grab her brother Joel. And not only her mother showed up, but also the security guard showed up because, as Mia said, there was some conflicts with the kids arguing. So the security guard was called that day also. This is probably the same security guard, most likely, that they claim kicked Adam out of the store. That's Joe Matthews' story. He's the one that started that story, but that never happened anyway. But that same security guard that they say is responsible is probably the same security guard that may have saved Joel by showing up, just as her brother was about ready to get abducted. Also, when they left the store on Sunday, she saw that same disheveled man, because when the security guard showed up, he split. He ran out of the toy department. And when on the way out of the Sears, she saw the same disheveled man standing next to a blue van. And there are numerous witnesses that have other accounts of a blue van and Adam being thrown into it and screeching off. And it was that same guy they all described.
All right.
Now, that blue van has not only been seen at the Hollywood Mall, but all three sites relevant to the Adam Walsh case were numerous witnesses. And that is, as we said, the Hollywood Mall. The second site is where the Adam's severed head was found, 120 miles north of the Hollywood Mall. And 4 witnesses there saw the blue van there and a white male. And also at the site where Adam may have been murdered, I found the crime scene. And there are numerous witnesses that have a blue van there. That's where Jeffrey Dahmer worked, by the way. It was behind the store, the meter room where Adam may have been murdered is behind the store where Jeffrey Dahmer was working. And it was a blue van that was used for deliveries.
Now, you say it very matter-of-factly. Do we know, Willis, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that Jeffrey Dahmer was there in that city, in that state, at that time?
Yes, of course. There are police records with his name on it. And one of those police records is a report dated July 7th, has Jeffrey Dahmer's name all over it, but only as a witness to a murder, not as a suspect. Because obviously in 1981, they didn't know who Jeffrey Dahmer was.
Right.
So what happened was he found a dead man behind the store where he worked. And yeah. And his boss, Ken Halbert, the guy that hired Jeffrey Dahmer, he said that about 10 days after he hired Jeffrey Dahmer found a dead man. And the date is July 7th. So what does that mean? That means if 10 days before, that would have been June 27th, 1 month exactly to the day when Adam was abducted. So, yeah.
And was there, now, you also explained the blue van. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, did Jeffrey Dahmer drive a blue van? Is there proof of that from that time? We'll find out from our guest, Willis Morgan, right after this. Our guest this evening, Willis Morgan, the frustrated witness, the true story of the Adam Walsh case and police misconduct. Do we know if you put Jeffrey Dahmer in that town, in that state at that time? As a matter of fact, you said a month before, Jeffrey Dahmer happened to find a dead man outside the back of the building that he worked at. And then a month later, Adam Walsh goes missing. Did Jeffrey Dahmer own a blue beat-up van at that time?
Well, he didn't own it. The blue van belonged to the owner of the stores. There were 2 stores. One store was Mr. Pizza, and the other store, they were 10 blocks apart, was Sunshine Subs. It was at Sunshine Subs where Jeffrey Dahmer worked. Okay? Now, the owners of those 2 stores, they own both of those stores, had a blue van and 2 white pickup trucks. And the blue van was used mostly for as a backup vehicle in the summer in the season, the winter season when it was really busy. But this was the summer and it wasn't busy, so they didn't use the blue van as much as the pickup trucks for pizza deliveries because it used more gas. So they use it mostly to pick up supplies for the stores, and it would just be parked at the pizza place, and everyone knew it was there. Everyone had access to it, and everyone had access to the keys. Many of the employees that worked at those stores said they would take the vehicles and use them. Some would even go to Fort Lauderdale for the day, or even Orlando. And so everybody was using that blue van. Apparently, so was Jeffrey Dahmer. And there were numerous witnesses from those other sites that seen a blue van there, including, like I said, where the severed head was found. There were 4 witnesses there that saw a blue van. What happened at the Turnpike was 10 days after Adam was abducted, his severed head was found in a canal off the Florida Turnpike. And there were statements, phone calls. From the phone call logs, I saw some names in there of people that were calling in. There's numerous pages of these phone calls. But one call that stuck out to me was a truck driver that said he called the Hollywood Police Department on August 11th, the day after the severed head was found, and said he was a driver for the public supermarket chain, and he was heading back up north with an empty truck to pick up a full truck of groceries to bring them back down to South Florida. And at 12:30 in the morning on August 7th, he saw a blue van parked in the swale area of the Turnpike, or on the shoulder, I should say, of the Turnpike. And down by this little bridge on that canal was a man standing there with a white bucket, and he took something round out of the bucket and threw it into the water. He called the Hollywood Police Department and on August 11th and talked to a detective. He can't remember who the detective was, but he told that detective about a blue van at that site and what he witnessed about somebody on that bridge taking something round out of a bucket. And this is his quote, okay, of what that detective said to him. Yeah, we already know about the blue van. It has nothing to do with the Adam Walsh case. And in Joe Matthews' book, the book that was used to close the case, on page 26, he says of the blue van, all those blue van sightings, to me, were about as consequential as the sightings of the Loch Ness Monster. So obviously, these detectives don't want anything to do with this blue van, even though there's numerous witnesses that seen it. And they dismiss all these witnesses because at the time, these detectives had their suspect. And as you alluded to in the opening, it was John Walsh's house guest because he was having an affair with A, so they thought that would have been a good enough motive. And so he was there.
Does that sound familiar? Because they already had their suspect. Where does that sound familiar? Because they already had their suspect. Because they already had their suspect. How many times do I gotta say it? Because they already had their suspect. Where does that sound familiar?
Fine suspect. And also, he proposed marriage to Reve, but she turned him down because she had a son with with John Walsh being Adam. And so they figured, oh, you get rid of the kid, you get the wife, and that was all the motive they needed. And they harassed him for months on end until John Walsh hired an attorney known as the Silver Fox, because he was John Varon. He was Broward County's best criminal defense lawyer, and he sent letters to the Hollywood Police Department telling them that they are not to talk to James Campbell anymore without his presence. And so they dropped him finally after about 4 months as a suspect. But in the meantime, they were dismissing all the witnesses that were calling in from not only the Turnpike, but many other sites. Adam wasn't the only abduction, keep in mind. There were numerous other abductions. Adam may have been the only successful abduction that we know of, but the other kids all managed to get away because they were older than Adam. They were 10 years old. I think one was actually 3 years old, as young as 3. And one was 5, another one, and 2 more were 10 years old. But they managed to get away because their parents were nearby, and
it just didn't.
Dahmer didn't succeed. But what I would like to talk about, one of those incidents was 2 weeks before Adam was abducted.
All right, we'll do that. We're up against the top of the hour break, so we have to go to break.
Okay.
Our guest is the author of Frustrated Witness, the true story of the Adam Walsh case and police misconduct. And he believes, as well as many of the other eyewitnesses he's spoken to, including Mia, who was just with us, that it was, in fact, Jeffrey Dahmer that abducted and mutilated the body of young Adam Walsh. We'll talk about the rest of the case, more of the story when we return. You're listening to Darkness Radio on this, A True Crime Tuesday.
Okay, yeah, we are having some technical difficulties on Willis's end over there. Let me get this bright light out of there. And so that's why I did it that way, so we could hear that was an important part of his story right there. He is going to be trying to come back in with his iPad, and so we'll see if that works. But I mean, what else can we say? What else can people say when you have 8 people coming forward, even though it's 10 years later? They all jump up when they see this guy being arrested on the news and saying, "That's the dude. That's the guy that we seen that day when Adam disappeared." And the police go, oh, the blue van, that's been cleared. Everybody's been cleared. Where have we heard that before? Everybody's been cleared because we have our suspect. Because we have our suspect. Nothing else matters. And just keep, and that's, how long ago? And that shit still goes on today. That shit still goes on today. I don't know what else to say about it, I'm sorry here. My bass player. Does that mean you can't talk? Yeah, that means I can't talk. Yeah, it's a personal one this time, Kathleen. At least it's not the creator who called me 3 times when I first started the show just to distract me. That stopped because I blocked them too. Crazy. But yeah, what else can we say? I haven't seen him come back in with his iPad here or try. I don't know what is going on there. I don't know, Karen. It's on his end. I think he needs help getting that set up. That's what I really think. I think and maybe Kathleen, maybe we can go over it, or I can get his number or something and call him and tell him. But somebody needs to help him on his end to get a good connection. even if he goes to a friend's house and uses their laptop or something, I mean, he just needs help getting, because he wants to get this story out there. He's 77 years old. He wants to get this story out there. And, you know, there is no way anybody else did this, period. There is no, in my eyes, man, there is nobody else that could have done it. Yeah. So anyway, I'm actually, I was looking for that because I had it last time, that blue van, Nikki, and I can't find it now. Hold on. Yeah, I shouldn't be accepting messages here, guys. This one I will though, because she's probably trying to help here. Oh, okay. Can I do it from here? Oh, I get it. Yeah. Actually, Kathleen's been on the phone with him, so I know last I knew he was going to be trying with an iPad. Okay, I'm going to take a little intermission here. I'm going to try to call him. And so I will be taking a little intermission. And I'll put on a little bit of music. Just some soft elevator music. I think I've done this a couple times before. You know how it goes. I think the ones that have, you know, come in all the time. Let's see if I can find it here. This is the next thing. All right, do I have to make, there we go. All right, and I'll put on some a little bit of music here. Where is my? Oh, there we are. I gotta find my elevator music. And here we go. Let's see what this one is. I don't know about that one. There we go. There's some elevator music. I shall be right back. here. Okay, everybody. Thank you for holding on. He is on his iPad, and he's going to try it one time here. And if this doesn't work, we're going to plan it for another night, because we both feel that this whole story, because like you said, there's way more to what you just heard in that interview. There's way more to this, like way more to it. And the whole story needs to be told. He's just going to his email now to click on the link to get to me. That I don't think so. No. Let me see. Let me see if they can hear you. Hey, you guys, let me know if you can hear him. Go ahead and start talking.
Not only the author of Frustrated Witness, I'm one of the many witnesses that were at the Hollywood Mall on the day Adam Walsh was abducted.
Okay, say something else. Are you guys hearing that at all? Just, yeah, very faintly. Yeah, it'll be kind of hard to do it that way. Yeah. Right. Okay, so, yeah, we'll plan this for another night. And then I'll give you, I got your number now and stuff, so we'll just connect straight up. And I'll give you a call tomorrow, okay? Okay, sounds good. Yeah, thank you, Willis. Yeah. Have a good night. Yep, that's fine. Yep, bye. Okay, so we're going to plan this for another night. I'm going to call him and try to make it so he's got a better connection somehow. I can help him in some parts, but if it gets to the point where I can't do it, then he's going to have to... he does have a laptop, but it's an older one, and he would have to dig it out, charge it up, and all that. He might have to go pick up a new laptop. They're only like $270 for a new, laptop. They're good enough to get on the StreamYard. So anyway, I'm totally sold on this story, and like he said, there's stuff that we don't know yet. We don't even know yet about his story and how it connects to Jeffrey Dahmer, and the more evidence that he's got that we haven't heard. So we will get to that. We will get to that. Okay. No, we're not doing that. He's still alive and all that. We're not going there. Anyway, that's all I got for tonight. Until he can get a better connection, which I'm hoping he does soon, and we'll let you know. So the next time you do see that he's going to be on, that means his issues have been worked out, because we're going to do a test run where he comes in on a day, and we're going to do it offline and make sure that everything works fine. And then we know that it's good. You got, come on, the guy's 77 years old, and we got to respect our elders, and we have to listen to their stories too. And because we do. This is how people learn, is by listening to elders' stories. And he's got a story to tell, and so do other witnesses, many of them. So anyway, until next time, everybody, I love you all. Until next time, it's always rock and roll.
Sha-la-la-la-la-la. Staring at the mirror when I'm straight down. Staring at this yellow-haired girl. Mr. Jones strikes up a conversation. with the black hair, the manco dance. You know she dances while his father plays guitar. She's suddenly beautiful, and we all want something beautiful. Man, I wish I was beautiful. So come dance the silence down through the morning. Sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la, yeah. Oh, yeah. Cut up, Maria. Show me something in Spanish dancing. Pass me a bottle, Mr. Jones. Believe in me.
guys, what's up? It's Daria. Thanks for watching. I really hope you like this cover. Thanks Violet for being a part of this video. Be sure to check another cover that